Let's jump to the Greenger project. Front brake has been, since I got it originally, I changed the master cylinder, I've been using the same caliper. My pads are in really good shape. The bike hasn't been ridden much. However, I've made a change here. Front brake caliper, I have substituted an Electro&Co front caliper from a ETM RTR. See, the brake line goes up to a new master. The brake line uses a very small connection here, so I can't use the master cylinder I have in place now, so I'm just going to swap everything over. Why am I doing this? The reason I'm doing this is I want the ability to use a radial brake caliper. By putting spacers here where this parting line is, I can run a bigger brake disc. Bigger brake disc means I can get some more braking power, and I'm hoping to have a little more flexibility. My concern is, look at the difference in size between the calipers. This one is very, very small. I have another video of me crashing an electric bike. Well, not crashing, I rode off the track. But because the brake faded within one lap, the brake faded. So I think this particular piece is going to be overstressed on this bike because of the speeds it can generate on an asphalt track. With that said, you don't know until you find out. So the ETM RTR uses this stock setup, which is basically the same fork. That's why this all bolts on. One of the changes I had to make was putting some spacers in here. These are 5 millimeters thick. Another one down here. I had to do that to line up with the brake disc correctly. That's the only reason for the spacers. Otherwise, this is all the same. So I have the caliper on. I'm going to tighten up the bolts, 4 of them here, and I'm going to substitute or switch out the brake master cylinder, and then we will try this rideability. Now, I think the brake is going to stop, not a problem. Repeated stops from 50 miles an hour, I think, are going to fade the brake. So the change here is reversible. I'm just bolting and unbolting, and we'll go from there and see if this is going to be adequate. I've finished my installation here. New brake calipers in place. The brake line is too long, so I tried routing it as inefficiently as possible. You can see I've routed it around in front, looped back around on the inside, and then back up here. This is an absolutely tiny master cylinder compared to everything else. This is what I have for the rear brake. It's huge. That one, super, super tiny. I rode this briefly. It seems to stop and feel okay. Again, it generates, depends on how much heat it generates is what I mean from that tiny brake caliper. There's not a lot to dissipate heat down there, so that's my biggest concern at this point. It also looks like I might be able to run a bigger brake disc. Hard to see down there between the disc and the caliper. But from out here, it looks like the caliper extends past the disc. Again, my goal is to put a larger front brake disc on here. This is a 210. If I can put a 220 on there, 220 millimeter, a little more braking power. However, I suspect that might generate more heat. Hard to say. But it would give me a little different brake feel. I'm gonna leave this on at this point. Riding around the neighborhood, it's not gonna matter at all, but when I go back to the racetrack, that'll be the real test. Back to the electric.
Time to go warm up. These tires are cold. Everything I've been going out on has had cold tires. Why should that change now? Okay, well, I can't have any binding shifter problems on this bike. All I can have is Michael Rider problems. Oh, okay, so on the NSR I was doing like 102, and this bike, it's the brake lever. I need to make sure these brakes aren't going to get overcooked. This is the new tiny little brake caliper. It's like a third of the size of the stock Greenger one. So the question is, as I get going, will I cook the brakes and all of a sudden have them fail? I don't know. Warming up tires. It's like maybe 60 degrees today, so it's certainly livable, but the track is definitely cold. It's pretty rare I ride a track that's this cold. So I have a rear brake if I need to use it. Warming up tires. Okay, let's go charge the brakes. Mission: overheat the brakes. Well, they seem to stop okay. Power-wise, I can't complain. Whoa! Okay, that got a little slidey. That was on the right side, of course. Is it in mode 3? I guess so. I guess this feels kind of normal. Oh, my knee puck's not in the right place. I think I want to move it down a bit. Yeah, that... didn't really want to grip too great. That's a pleasant surprise. I don't know how much pressure is in these tires. Oh.